Good morning. The outreach event I was supposed to volunteer at was canceled because of weather, which sucks because I was really excited for it because I need more social connection in my life and less social media in my life. So instead of doing the event, I'm doing roadie orders and scrolling on Instagram. I don't do TikTok, I don't do Twitter, but I absolutely have addiction issues with Instagram and YouTube. I love those two, and they're essentially a simulacrum for social connection. Simulacrum being something that has been reiterated or sort of reimagined so many times that it no longer actually resembles what its original intention was. That's kind of like what the Matrix is, essentially, simulation and simulacrum. And so while I yearn for social connection, I'm not finding good connection on Instagram and YouTube, right? Even though I make these videos and consume a bunch of it. It's something I'm working on. And honestly, I think I've made progress because in the past, I might have had a more inflammatory title to this video and I might have been more aggressive, but I'm working on redirecting my energies and my frustrations. The initial title might have been something like, hold on, let me pause and try to remember. Okay, yeah, it was going to be something like, are lefties retarded, ignorant, or insidious? So that was going to be the original title, but I think I'm going to go more with something along the lines of what compromises are you willing to make? Targeted at the left. And let me give some backstory here. I was on Instagram, wasting time, and I saw a post from one of my favorite pages, Seattle Looks Like Shit. They highlight a lot of the sad things that have happened to Seattle or that are going on in Seattle. And this particular post was of a protest going on at the Seattle Children's Hospital in response to Donald Trump signing an executive order banning the mutilation of children's genitals, also known as child or children's transition surgeries and treatments. And this whole thing is it's really interesting because, and that's why the words I wanted to use, retarded, insidious, or ignorant, are I'm intentional there. Because, so I made a comment on it, and I had said, that's funny, I thought this stuff wasn't happening. Because a lot of these lefties will say that child transition surgeries are not happening. And they are either intentionally misdirecting you when they say that, which to me is insidious and retarded, because they don't want the truth to be known because it is inflammatory. Mutilating children's genitals, that's kind of fucked up. So they're either insidious and retarded or they're just ignorant and they don't know. Because on my comment, a lot of people were coming at me saying, it's not happening. You don't know what you're talking about. Get informed. That is so funny. Get informed. You know, like labeling or lobbing that at someone when you yourself are uninformed. And I will say it's not happening in large numbers. It's not millions of kids, but it is happening. I do believe, and then, yeah, okay. So if it's not happening, why are you protesting the banning of something that's not happening or that you don't want to happen? So it is happening. There are examples. But also, if it's not happening, what is there to protest? It should be a meaningless executive order. Or if you don't want it to be happening, why are you protesting? I've already made videos kind of discussing this topic. I can't remember what the titles were, but pretty much it was along the lines of the state is your obstacle. It's the obstacle to everything, because I don't believe the state should exist. So while I think it is wrong to do that to children, I don't think the state should have a say. And to me, that's a compromise that I'm bringing to the table, that I'm willing to make. And when I discuss with lefties, what compromises they're willing to make, it seems like it's none. They are so stubborn. They are so obstinate. And I don't love the right, don't get me wrong, but it's easier to have an actual conversation most of the time with a conservative than it is a lefty. And so I know I'm lobbying, and I use these words: obstinate, ignorant, retarded, and I don't like it. It's so unfortunate. I would love to have actual conversations, but it is so darn hard to find lefties to have actual conversations. And that's a theme. I say that all the time, but it's so true. Even on that little post where people were coming at me, I said, hey, let's do a podcast together. And people just, no. I had one more point that I wanted to get out there. Let me see. Oh, it was the whole, what compromises are you all willing to make? Because we're making compromises when we're saying, hey, we disagree with things you want to do, but it's more of an issue that the government is interfering in our lives. So can we find that common ground place? But they can't, because they need government interference to enforce their ideology. And so I'm going to pause. I'll kind of bring in another topic that's connected. Abortion is a great example. I think abortion is wrong. I don't think people should be murdering babies. But if there's no government interference in our lives, I'm not going to go out of my way to interfere in another person's life. I'll provide my input to friends if they ask for it, but I'm not physically going to stop anyone from doing something. I mean, unless they're trying to harm me or my family, that's different. But I was watching a podcast with a dude, and they were talking about abortion, and his first comment was, it's none of the government's fucking business, man. He was this aloof sort of, I'm trying to be tough macho dude, but he was just a little beta simp bitch. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to just whatever. But that was his first comment when they brought up the topic of abortion. And my thought, my immediate thought was not that he was a douche, but was, I bet you $1 million he is not going to logically and consistently, or not going to consistently apply that logic to other aspects of people's lives, because the government has no business in anybody's life. So nothing is the government's business. The government is not a moral entity. And so I agree with him in the sense that, yeah, abortion is none of the government's fucking business, but nothing is the government's fucking business. But I bet you $1 million he supports government interference in other ways. So from a logical or epistemological or philosophical perspective, that is the laziest fucking argument you could make to support baby murder. It's none of the government's fucking business. Nothing's the fucking business of the government, you tool. Sorry. I've made progress, but I still got work to do. I'm getting much less triggered and just redirecting the energy better. But I still got work to do. So now let me ask you, are you retarded? Are you insidious? Or are you ignorant? What compromises are you as a lefty willing to make to come together to participate in society? Because y'all are just kind of acting like little babies right now. And it's getting old. But whatever.